Good morning students. Today we are going to study about 6th standard social science, geography, unit 2, land and oceans, part 1. So students, listen carefully. If you have any doubts, make a note of it, which will be clarified on the day of reopening. Students, in this lesson, we are going to know the meaning of Pangea and Panthalasa, to learn about the classification of landforms, to understand the continents and oceans, to know about the land classification in Sangam period, and to learn about the first order landforms. Students, the introduction part of this lesson is conversation between teacher and students about land and oceans. The teacher enters the classroom with large sized envelopes. The students are very eager to know the content of the envelopes. Then the teacher asks the children to sit in groups and explains the activity. The teacher distributes the envelope to each groups. The envelope contains 7 zigzag continent and a chart paper. The teacher asks them to paste the zigzag continents but no gap between them and color the remaining places in blue. Finally, a group of students pastes the continents, that is without any gap between them. The teacher then puts the chart on the board and the children applaud. Students, now let us know about this chart. This is Pangea, the supercontinent, and the sea around is Panthalasa. Supercontinent means all the continents are closely together. There is no gap between them. The Pangea is surrounded by the oceans called Panthalasa. Students, once again I repeat, this is Pangea, the supercontinents. Supercontinent means all the continents are closely together. There is no gap between them. And the sea around is Panthalasa. Students, next we are going to see about Pangea. Students, million years ago the continents was formed a single large landmass called Pangea. Pangea split into two land masses called Gondwanaland and Laurasia. Over long time, Gondwanaland broke up at forming the continents South America, Africa, subcontinent India, Australia and Antarctica. Then Laurasia split into North America and Eurasia. It was 200 million years ago when these land masses moved away from each other to gain the present positions as continents and oceans. Students, Pangea and Panthalasa, these two words are derived from Greek. The Greek word Pangea means all the earth and the Greek word Panthalasa means all the sea. So, Pangea means all the earth and Panthalasa means all the sea. Students, do you have any idea about how the continents are separated by oceans? This is due to the internal heat of the earth, the continents move away from each other to gain the present position. Students, next we are going to know about continents and oceans in detail. Students, you know that the surface of the earth is covered by water and land. Water occupies 71% on the earth's surface and land occupies 29% on the earth's surface. Students, the surface of the earth is not even because the earth has lofty mountains, which means the highest mountains, deep oceans and other landforms. Students, next we can learn about classification of landforms. Landforms are classified under three categories: first order landforms, second order landforms and third order landforms. First order landforms are continents and oceans. Second order landforms are plateaus, mountains, plains. Third order landforms are valleys, beaches and sand dunes. Students, once again I repeat, continents and oceans are first order landforms. Plateaus, mountains and plains are second order landforms. Valleys, beaches and sand dunes are third order landforms. Students, next we can see about land classification in Sangam period. In Sangam period, the landforms can be classified into 5 types. They are Kurinji, Mullai, Marutham, Neidal and Palai. Students, the first is Kurinji. Mountains and its environs, which means the place around mountain area. Kurinji was the hilly forested terrain rich with verdant slopes, flowers, birds and wildlife. Next is Mullai, forest and its surroundings. Mullai is the land of the forest. The forest is rich with lakes, waterfalls, teak, bamboo and sandalwood. Next is Marutham. Agricultural land and its adjoining areas is known as Marutham. Adjoining means the nearest area. Otherwise, the plain areas is known as Marutham. Next is Neidal. Sea and its environs is known as Neidal, which means the sea and its nearest area is known as Neidal. And Palai. Desert region is known as Palai. Students, next important term mentioned in this lesson is first order landforms. Continents and oceans are grouped as first order landforms. The first order landforms are continents and oceans. First we can see about continents. The huge land masses on earth are called continents, which means a very large area of land located on the earth's surface are called continents. There are 7 continents located on the earth's surface. Students, according to their size, the 7 continents are Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Antarctica, Europe and Australia. Once again I repeat students, Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Antarctica, Europe and Australia are 7 continents located on the Earth's surface. Next is largest and smallest continents. According to the size, the largest continent is Asia and the smallest continent is Australia. Once again I repeat student, Asia is the largest continent and Australia is the smallest continent. Next we can learn about oceans. A huge water bodies are called oceans, which means a very large water body on the earth's surface are called oceans. Students, as I told before, 71% of water occupies on the earth's surface. There are 5 oceans located on the earth's surface. The 5 oceans are Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean, Southern Ocean and Arctic Ocean. Once again I repeat students, Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean, Southern Ocean and Arctic Ocean are 5 oceans located on the earth's surface. According to the size of the oceans, the largest ocean is Pacific Ocean and the smallest ocean is Arctic Ocean. So, Pacific Ocean is the largest ocean and Arctic Ocean is the smallest ocean on the earth's surface. Students, next we are going to see about second order landforms. The second order landforms are categorized as mountains, plateaus and plains. Once again I repeat students, mountains, plateaus and plains are second order landforms. First we can see about mountains. A landform that rises 600 meter above its surroundings and has steep slopes is called mountains. Slope is the inclination of the land surface. Once again I repeat students, a landform that rises 600 meter above its surroundings and has steep slopes is called mountains. The mountains are found in isolation, which means a single mountain, or in groups, which means a group of mountain. So the mountains are found in isolation or in groups. The next we can see about mountains range. Students, look at the picture. The mountains that occupies for a large area of land continuously. It is called mountains range. If the mountains extend for a larger area continuously, it is called mountains range. These ranges stretch for hundreds or thousands of kilometers. The Himalayas of Asia, the Rocky Mountains of North America, the Andes Mountains of South America are some example of mountains. Next is longest mountain range. Andes Mountain in South America is the longest mountain range in the world, and the range is about 7,000 kilometers. Next is mountain peak. The highest point of a mountain is known as its peak. Students, Mount Everest is the highest peak in the world and its height is about 8,848 meter. Students, next we are going to see about advantages of mountains. Otherwise, the uses of mountains. Mountains are the sources of rivers, which means the most of the rivers are formed from the mountains. Next is they provide shelter to flora and fauna. Flora means plants and fauna means animals, which means the mountains is the home for many wild animals and plants and trees. Students, tourism is an important activity of mountains. More than 50 million people visit mountains each year. During summer, people go to mountains region to enjoy the pleasing cool weather. Next we can see about some hill stations of Tamil Nadu. First is Udhagamandalam. The other name of Udhagamandalam is Ooty. It is a popular hill resort in Nilgiris district. Next is Kodaikanal. Kodaikanal is a city of hills in Tindikkal district. Its name in the Tamil language means the gift of the forest. Kodaikanal is referred to as the Queen of Hill Stations. Next is Kolli Hills or Kolli Malai. Kolli Hills or Kolli Malai is a small mountain range located in Namakkal district. Next is Yercaud. Yercaud is a hill station in Salem district. It experiences pleasant weather throughout the year. Next is Nilgiris. This hill station is located in Tirupattur district. Students, next is Isthmus, a narrow strip of land which connects two land masses or separate two large water bodies is known as isthmus. Once again I repeat students, a narrow strip of land which connects two large land masses or separates two large water bodies. Students, do you know December 11 is the International Mountain Day. Students, next we can move on to plateaus. Plateaus are the elevated portions of the earth that have flat surfaces bounded by steep slopes, which means the highest flattened portions of the earth. The elevation of the plateaus may be a few hundred or several thousand meters, which means the height of the plateaus may be a few hundred or several thousand meters. Next is highest plateau. Tibetan Plateau is the highest plateau in the world. Its height is about 4,500 meters. So it is called roof of the world. Next is tableland. The flat topped part of the plateau is called tableland, which means the top flat portions of the plateau look like a table. So it is called tableland. Next is minerals rich plateaus. Students, Chota Nagpur Plateau is one of the minerals rich plateau in India. Therefore, mining is one of the major activities of the people living here, which means mining is the major occupation of the people who living in Chota Nagpur Plateau. Mining is the industry or activities connected with getting valuable or useful minerals from the ground. For an example, diamond, gold. Then Deccan Plateau. Deccan Plateau in peninsular India is of a volcanic origin, which means that Deccan Plateau is located in South India and it is formed by volcanic activity. Students, do you know Dharmaburi Plateau, Coimbatore Plateau and Madurai Plateau are found in Tamil Nadu? Students, next we are going to see about plains. Plains are the flat and relatively low-lying lands. Plains are usually less than 200 meters above the sea level. Sometimes plains may be rolling or undulating. Undulating means rising and falling like waves. Most of the plains are formed by rivers and their tributaries and their distributaries. Tributary means the river that flow into the main rivers. Once again I repeat student, a river that flow into the main river. Distributary means a river that flow into a tributaries. Once again I repeat students, distributary means a river that flow into a tributaries. So, the most of the plains are formed by rivers and their tributaries and distributaries. Plains are extensively used for agriculture due to the presence of water and fertile soil, which means the mineral rich soil. So the plains are most suitable for human inhabitation, which means the living place of human. Hence they are highly populated regions of the world. Students, the oldest civilization like the Mesopotamian and the Indus civilization developed in river plains. The Indo-Gangetic Plain in North India is one of the largest plains in the world. The plains formed by Kaveri and Vaigai are most important plains found in Tamil Nadu. Next is deltas. A delta is an area of low, flat land and where rivers split and spread out into several branches before entering the sea. Once again I repeat students. A delta is an area of low, flat land and where rivers split and spread out into several branches before entering the sea. Tanjore, Nagapattinam are most important delta places found in Tamil Nadu. Next is coastal plains. The coastal plains are the low-lying lands adjacent to oceans and seas. which means the nearest low-lying lands of oceans and seas are called coastal plains areas. Students, the plains have been the cradle of civilizations from the earliest times. For example, the Indus in India, the Nile Valley in Egypt are some of the early civilizations which developed and flourished. Students, next we are going to learn about third order landforms. The third order landforms are valley, sand dune and beach. The third order landforms are formed on mountains, plateaus and plains mainly by erosional and depositional activities of rivers, glaciers, wind and waves. Next is the important term mentioned in this lesson is erosion. It is the process of removal of surface materials from the earth crust, which means the removal of the minerals from the earth surface is known as erosion. Students, next is deposition. The eroded materials are transported and deposited on the low-lying areas. This process is called deposition. Once again I repeat students, the eroded materials are transported and deposited on the low-lying areas. This process is called deposition. Students, I hope you understood this class. Now let's recall the textbook pages related to today's topic. Today we have seen about Pangea, the supercontinent, and the sea around is Panthalasa. It was 200 million years ago when these landmasses moved away from each other to gain the present positions as continents and oceans. Then the earth is covered by water which occupies 71% and land that occupies 29% of the earth's surface. Then classification of landforms. First order landforms, second order landforms and third order landforms. First order landforms are continents and oceans. Second order landforms are mountains, plateaus and plains. Third order landforms are valleys, beaches and sand dunes. First order landforms. Continents and oceans are grouped as first order landforms. The vast land masses on earth are called continents and huge water bodies are called oceans. There are 7 continents. They are Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Antarctica, Europe and Australia. Asia is the largest continent whereas Australia is the smallest one. Next we can see about oceans. There are 5 oceans located on the earth's surface. They are the Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, Southern and Arctic oceans. Among these oceans, the Pacific Ocean is the largest and the Arctic Ocean is the smallest. Next is second order landforms. The second order landforms are categorized as mountains, plateaus and plains. Next is third order landforms. Third order landforms are formed on mountains, plateaus and plains mainly by erosional and depositional activities of rivers, glaciers, winds and waves. Valleys, beaches and sand dunes are some examples of third order landforms. Students, here are some evaluation questions. Try to answer these questions in your social notebook. What is continent? What are oceans? Name a second order landforms. Which is the highest plateau in the world? List out the names of continents according to their size. Students, let us see about the oceans in our next class.